needs.
Live from Waterford and Dungarvan, this is Waterford at 1 News.
Good afternoon, I'm Liz Reddy. Today's top stories. Beef farmers protesting in Waterford say they're now aiming to stop all lorries passing through the gates. The Minister for Justice says Fine Gael TD John Deasy, who's announced he'll not be standing for election again, will be a loss to the party. Waterford Walls is to create a board to help secure its long-term future. And in sport, the quarter-final lineup is complete in the Waterford County Senior Hurling Championship. Beef farmers protesting at ABP in Ferrybank and Dawn Meats in Granny say they're now aiming to stop all lorries passing through the gates. The protests from earlier this month had been led by the Beef Plan movement, but the campaign group has no official involvement in the new pickets. Meat Industry Ireland says it's disappointed protests have resumed and say any disruption which impacts businesses, staff and farmer suppliers is unacceptable. This farmer at ABP says previously it was just cattle prevented from entering the factories.
There's nothing going in and nothing coming out. That's the way we're going with it now, 24/7. And we're closing the offal plant as well. There's nothing getting into the offal plant either. There's nothing going in and nothing going out. And the truck drivers have been notified of this. We're left with no choice, only to escalators.
He told WLR News that many farmers remain unhappy.
They resumed protesting because of the lack of progress over the talks. There was literally no progress made at all. There was no issues dealt with that were of concern to us. So we had left with no choice only to resume our positions here and protesting at the factory gates. So this is independent farmers fighting for our rights and fighting for a fair share of the profits. There's two people in this that are getting all the money, the processor and the retailers, and they're leaving nothing to the people, their primary producers, to make a living on for themselves and their families.
This farmer says the proposals agreed during discussions with the industry do not address the issues they face.
We gave them 2 weeks to do something and they just basically absolutely done nothing. So we were peaceful before that and we'll be peaceful again, but there won't be anything happening. That's it.
Pregnant woman accused of murdering a 2-year-old Santina Corley has been further remanded in custody. 35-year-old Karen Harrington appeared before Cork District Court this morning. Reporter Fiona Corcoran was there for Cork's 96 FM.
Last Wednesday morning, Karen Harrington, with an address at Elderwood Park, Boyne Manor Road, was arrested in Mahon and charged with the murder of Santina Corley at Elderwood Park on July 5th last. In court this morning, barrister Paula McCarthy said there was a bail application pending in the High Court and they were applying for a 2-week adjournment. Judge Mary Dorgan remanded Karen Harrington in continuing custody until September 6th next. The accused appeared in court wearing a white knitted jumper and beige jeans and was silent for the short hearing. Santina's parents were both in court. The 2-year-old was found in the early hours of the morning with serious injuries in an apartment at Elderwood Park and was taken to Cork University Hospital, where she was later pronounced dead.
The Minister for Justice says Fine Gael TD John Deasy, who's announced he'll not be standing for election again, will be a loss to the party, to Waterford and the South East. Charlie Flanagan told Damien Tiernan on Dayshoot today that both John and his late father Austin provided leadership and courage in politics.
They said things as they were in a most direct way, and that's why I think John will be missed. The Deasys didn't follow the crowd. I think it's important that we have people like that in public life who are not prepared to sheepishly follow the crowd.
Fine Gael Councillor Declan Ducey says there'll be a change on the political landscape in Dungarvan with the DC name missing from the ballot paper.
John is deciding to move on to greener grass and wish him well and things aren't that smooth in the Gay party there a while and bring a new era to our organisation in Waterford and some changes are good and some changes are bad, you know. Maybe we should only run one candidate and start building after the next election. Secure one season, start building again.
Kilkenny Fianna Fáil TD John McGuinness served for 5 years with John Deasy on the Public Accounts Committee. He says he was to the fore in getting a public inquiry into the Grace case.
John is a very independent-minded person. He always brings something different to the debate at national level, regardless of what the issue is. And during the course of his 5 years on the Public Accounts Committee, he was central to the Grace case, which was an issue around the sexual abuse of 48 individuals. And I saw him steer that debate through the Public Accounts Committee to the final stages where an inquiry was set up.
Parents are being warned about the risk of mumps as children go back to school this week. Over 1,600 cases have been recorded so far this year, 3 times the total in the whole of 2018. Stephen Murphy has more.
The HSE says the way things are going, up to 7,000 children a year won't be vaccinated against measles and mumps. Take-up of the MMR vaccine has fallen in recent years and has reached as low as 80% in some parts of the country. It's led to outbreaks of mumps in places like universities and schools, some of which will be welcoming students back this week. The HSE's Dr. Kevin Kelleher says kids who don't get vaccinated are being put at risk.
Its most common outcome is, particularly for boys and for men, is giving them problems with fertility in the longer term.
The UK lost its status as a measles-free country last week, but Dr. Kelleher hopes that won't happen here.
Although the vaccination rate is the worrying issue for us, our actual control of measles in Ireland is very good.
Fake news on social media has been partly blamed for the fall-off in vaccination rates. The HSE is reportedly working with Twitter to try and combat misinformation online.
Waterford Walls is to create a board to help secure its long-term future. The Street Art Festival returned for its 5th time this month, bringing local and international artists to Waterford, but its budget was slashed by €90,000 for this year's offering. This was partly due to an unexpected reduction in state funding and led to a smaller festival. It won 2 awards praising its links between business and arts last September. They were presented by Minister for Arts and Culture Josepha Madigan. Founder of Waterford Walls, Adele Tobin, says they received praise from the Minister but were left disappointed in the weeks following.
Josepha Madigan singled out Waterford Walls and Waterford City's Council's exemplary and inspirational partnership together as an example for other counties to follow, and she was going to go back to her office the following morning and send out a letter to all the other local authorities across the country that should be an example that should be followed. That's September, and yet maybe 2 months later our funding was slashed.
The latest survey by Irish Business Against Litter has found Tramore Beach and the River Shore in Waterford City to be both deemed moderately littered. The River Shore improved from heavily littered this time last year. A study of 42 areas across the country revealed that only 1 in 6 were deemed clean, while 14% were classed as littered or heavily littered. The An Taisce report for Tramore said the beach area was well managed. Along the tide line there was quite a lot of litter, including sweet papers, fast food wrappers, plastic bottles and coffee cups. The report for the River Shore found the boardwalk area was well presented and much of the land-based items were in between the parked cars and the wall by the bus station. Water-based items included bicycles, shopping trolleys and 2 traffic cones. People using mobile banking services will soon have to complete an extra security step before accessing their account. The changes, which come into effect from September 14th, aim to provide better protection for consumers and reduce fraud. The Banking and Payments Federation of Ireland says customers may have to update their contact details or download a new mobile app to gain access to services. 32 women from around the world are preparing for the 60th annual Rose of Tralee competition. 18 roses will take to the stage tonight for the first televised show. At the weekend, thousands of people packed the streets of Tralee for the festival parade, which saw 2018 Rose, Kirsten Matty Marr from Waterford, among the special guests. She says there was great excitement when she won the title last year.
I remember seeing my family and friends were outside my pub twin and pub, Bailey's Corner. They were all screaming. I was like, oh my God, what the hell? They had signs and everything. It was out of this world.
WLR Sport.
And a very good afternoon, I'm Gavin. Whelan starting with Gaelic Games, and Ryan Donnelly racked up 15 points as Dungarvan had 10 to spare against Fourmile Water in the County Senior Hurling Championship playoffs at Fairfield last night. 126 to 213, the Blues will meet their near neighbours Abbeyside in a derby duel next weekend. Patrick Kern goaled in the 4th minute as 8 Dungarvan players got on the score sheet. Shane Ryan and Tom Barron netted for Fourmile Water. Dungarvan boss Dermot D says Ryan Donnelly gave a great display of point taking.
Ryan, an exceptional performance with 15 points. Not an easy to do in any stage. But Patrick, Curran, Kieran Power, all these guys, they all put in big shifts. And that's what you want, you know.
Shows the strength of your panel as well, Dermot.
Yeah, we're fortunate this year. I suppose in years gone by we haven't had the strength and depth that we have now. It's good. We got the opportunity to bring on some of the younger guys near the end there, and it keeps everybody interested, keeps everybody hungry.
Gavin and Abbeyside will meet in the County Senior Hurling Championship quarter-finals next weekend. That'll be at 7:30 in Fairfield on Sunday night. There's a derby weekend in store as Ballygunner continue their 6-in-a-row chase against familiar foes Passage. That's at 3 p.m. in Welsh Park on Saturday. Lismore will renew their rivalry with Mount Sion at 6 p.m. in Fairfield on Sunday evening, while De La Salle take on Roanmore in an all-Eastern affair. That's Sunday afternoon with a 1:30 throw-in in Welsh Park. The Senior Hurling Championship relegation playoffs will also take place next weekend. There's a double bill in Fairfield on Saturday afternoon. Clonea and Formal Water up first at 2, followed by the local derby clash between Tallow and Ballydufupper at 3:30. Further reflections to the weekend's action on this evening's On the Ball here in WLR just after 6:10. We'll hear from Dungarvan boss Dermot D and Mount Sion's Austin Gleeson. Staying with Gaelic Games, and the inaugural Under-19 B Football County Championship final takes centre stage in Fairfield tonight. St Pat's, Nave Breed and St Mary's will battle it out, and that decider throw-in there is at 8 p.m. To news of soccer, and the draw has been made for the quarter-finals of the FAI Cup. Waterford FC will take on defending champions Dundalk at the RSC on the weekend of September 8th. The Blues booking their place in the next round by virtue of Saturday's 2-0 win over Glengad United in Donegal. Waterford return to league action tomorrow night. They face a tricky tie to the Tallaght Stadium to take on Shamrock Rovers in their rearranged Airtricity League Premier Division clash. It's the start of a busy couple of days for the Blues, who welcome Derry to the RSC on Friday night. Tomorrow's game will be broadcast live on WLR from the capital. We'll be joining Ray Scott and Matt Keane, your commentators, at 7:50 p.m. ahead of the 8 p.m. kickoff. The coverage, all thanks to Clem Jacob Hire. Elsewhere in the FAI Cup, a quarter-final draw this morning, Galway United have been rewarded for knocking out Cork City with a home tie against Shamrock Rovers. Sligo Rovers will take on UCD at the Showgrounds, and non-league Crumlin United are set to play Dublin opposition in Bohemians. Staying with news of soccer, and Cork City have announced the appointment of their former player Neil Fenn as their new first-team head coach. The club have said this morning they agreed terms with Longford Town for his move to Leaside. Fenn's first game in charge will be the home tie against Sligo Rovers next Friday night at Turner's Cross. One game here at home this evening in the Airtricity League Premier Division. Top meets bottom as Dundalk play host to UCD at Oriel Park. Kick-off there is at 7:45. Golf, and Rory McIlroy says there was an element of revenge in his performance which saw him win the $15 million PGA Tour Championship last night. The four-time major winner held off Xander Schauffele by a shot to finish his season in style and take the FedEx Cup for the second time in 4 seasons. McIlroy outperformed his playing partner Brooks Koepka in the final round a few short weeks after underperforming against the American at the WGC St Jude Invitational. Koepka struggled on the final day in Atlanta yesterday, as did McIlroy's other main rivals for the title.
You know, you always know that you're coming into this event, if you're not number one, you're going to need a little bit of help from other people, and you know, JT and Brooks and a couple of the other guys didn't quite play as well as they have done in previous weeks, and you know, again, I capitalised on that and, you know, was able to get the win.
And finally, to cycling, where Ireland's Nicholas Roach begins today's third stage at the Vuelta a España with the red leader's jersey for the first time in 6 years. He has a 2-second lead in the general classifications. That's the latest on WLR. Our next bulletin is at 2.